Hey, this is Allie Edwards, and in this video I am going to take you on a little journey back through my One Little Word albums. So I started keeping a One Little Word album back in 2011. That was the first year that I offered the One Little Word workshop and have continued to offer it each year since then. And so these albums are the culmination of my own adventures and journeys with my word since 2011. This is the main way that I keep my word visible for myself throughout the year. It's the way that I reflect. It's the way that I just take a much closer and deeper look at my experience with my word, and it's the way that I keep it visible for myself. So let's go ahead and take a look here. So when I first started doing the workshop in 2011, I was doing it at the 8.5 by 11 size, and so you'll see a few years of 8.5 by 11, and then a couple years ago I moved to the 6 by 8 size. Within the workshop, I always offer downloads that you can print out. So the download would have included this outline that is then printed on cardstock. The first couple years, there were some different sizes, but for the most part, I've continued to ask a lot of the same questions each year, and I love that part about it. The prompts have remained similar from year to year because my experience with each one of my words is completely different. So I must always start off with the reason why I chose the word, a look at what the definition is, a look at it in the thesaurus, and then asking myself, what do I want to invite into my life this year? So 2011 actually ends up being a year of big change for me. So when I would have started this album, I wouldn't have known what was going to be happening to me towards the end of the year, which is when Chris ended up leaving and then ended up starting the process of going through a divorce. So it's always interesting for me when I look back on this and see what I had written down, what I had been focusing on, the letter to myself of right now you are, and 1 year, where I hoped you'd be. This is very personal journaling. It's very, personal words, not necessarily things that I would put into a traditional scrapbook. And I'm not going to talk about what each and everything that I wrote in here, but I wanted to flip through these so you could get an idea of what kind of things we're doing in here. Generally, in One Little Word, there are different lenses that we use to see our words. So we use the lens of photography, which is a very literal lens, but the idea of looking for our word through the lens of the camera. We look for our word through the lens of just writing and reflection. We look through the lens of our word often with collage or some sort of more tactile, hands-on experience. And I talk about using the combination of the head and the heart and the hands to connect with our word. So this is kind of just a look here. And I always end usually with facts and feelings and how do you want to say goodbye to your word. So that was my first year doing the workshop, and my word that year was light. When we were using 8.5 by 11 sized albums, I could fit more than 1 year in here. So I think I usually had 3 years of 3 years of class content, or 3 years of my own experience with the different words. So then in 2012, my word was up. And so again, a combination of kind of more scrapbook style things, plus all of the personal journaling, the combination of photography, and how do I see my word through the lens of my camera. The ideas of opening up. So this would have been the first year when I was on my own then, after Chris had left. So a lot of reflection about who I am and who do I want to be, and and what is happening, and you know, lots of this like personal documentation, the letters to myself, things like that, which are prompts that continue to come up over the course of the year. Here's one of the collage examples. So the idea of meditating on our words while we are creating something with our hands, and what is the resulting thing that you get from that, and how does that experience impact your relationship with your words. So these are the kinds of things that we're talking about each month in the workshop, and the idea again is that it's not complicated. We're not trying to make it be a complicated workshop. It's not supposed to be something that takes up a lot of time, but it is the opportunity for investing in your relationship with your words. So like that's then wrapping up my experience with Up there, and then moving on to 2013, where my word was open, and then kind of the beginning of stamping and opening up and bursting open. All of those sorts of things there. Doing a vision board is something that we do most years. Sometimes I have put it into the album itself. Sometimes I have taken pictures of the larger ones that I've created. Taking action on your word, figuring out something that's very specific. Focusing on, again, the lens of photography, having that in there. Word messages to yourself, we usually talk about that in some way or another. You know, what does it mean to be open? What does that actually look like? These albums too are, you know, the invitation here is just a place to be able to keep these stories. You know, to keep a record of your walk with a particular word over the course of a year. So people put all kinds of different things in here. These are pretty much just the prompts and my reactions or responses to those prompts as well. So that was the first 3 years of the workshop, and then let me show you. We'll just keep going here, and I'll share the rest of them as well. This is 2014. In 2014, my word was thrive, and so we'll look at a little bit more about that. Again, switching up a little bit each time in terms of the different things that I'm using, the way that the questions are presented, but like I said, it's often the same questions, but you have a different reaction each year based on what your word is. What do you want more or less of? Again, the opportunity for reflection, the opportunity to decide what do you want to actually take action on? What are your intentions physically and emotionally and with your relationships and creatively? And how does your word impact each one of those areas? Here's one where it's a picture. I just took a big picture of the actual canvas that I made that hung on the wall in my office. The lens, seen through the lens of the camera for my word. We almost always do an in progress run along with theirs that would be the collage one for each one of the different words. Celebrating and savoring, and how can you celebrate what's real right now. This is actually one of my favorite pictures. So this is back, when was this, 2014, of all 5 of the kids, one of the trips that we had taken during the time that Aaron and I were dating, and they're so small, and now like Simon, he's so huge. I love pictures of the backs of people too. So a place to hold those kinds of things, a place to reflect on what do I want to give this month, what do I want to celebrate, and what kind of self-care do I want to do, all related to whatever my word is that year. We often do quotes or song lyrics too, so finding things that resonate with you based on what your word is. Letter to myself about the word thrive. Gratitude, using gratitude as the lens for this experience with your word. Again, that's all from 2014. That's wrapping up 2014. Some years I've done action and reflection cards too. These are, and I don't always finish everything either, and that's okay. But here's some of my reflections from each one of those months in 2014. 2015, my word was give. I think might be missing a page in here. Here was this was actually a blog post that I wrote about why I chose the word give, and so I included that in there. And then I had the definition and the invitation and the quotation. Again, all of this is covered way more in depth in the classroom itself and in the in those monthly prompts. But I wanted to give you just an idea of what have I been doing for the past 6 or 7 years or however long I've been doing this as a workshop now. But like I said, you can see these similar things popping up each month, but each year. But again, it's through the lens of whatever the word is, right? A different word results in different writing, different experience. This was a note to self here, the give word there. Celebrating, giving, self-care. Again, so that was similar to the year before. Here's some again through the lens of photography. This one always pops up at least once or twice, even within the year itself, because I think it's such a powerful way to see, how do you see your world? And on these ones, I literally said, I see give in this photo. I see give in this photo, and here's why for each one of these as well. I liked doing that one as well. Then here's like what I learned, who I am, what I know. We're all afraid. We have to get to the point where we understand it doesn't mean that we can't also be brave. That was one of Brené's quotes and a big picture of myself. Note to self, I wrote on here with a Sharpie, and it has yellowing around the outside, so just something not to do necessarily is use a Sharpie on your photos, with lots of other pens that are better for that. And then again, ending the year with facts and feelings, and this was 2015. So then in 2016 is when we moved to the 6x8 albums, and I'll pull one of those out here to show you my 2016 and then 2017 as well. So here is my 2016 album. This is when we first started offering actual products to go along with the one little word experience. So this is 1 year then within this album. This one got super thick because the dividers that we had for the months were chipboard, which we switched then in 2017. So product-wise, we're always learning, right, of things that work or things that don't work. But these then, it's kind of fun to be able to offer products to go along with this experience as well. So 2016, my word was whole, which is one of my most favorite words. And so this again was the first year of doing it in this size, and switching up the size I think was really great for me. I liked it quite a bit. I liked having one album for the year. And it also, again, the prompts were still similar. If you sign up for the workshop this year, the prompts will still be the same. That actually is just part of the process for me, is having these similar prompts. When you go into the classroom every year, I'm recording new videos, new messages that are all related to whatever my word is. So you're hearing my reflections on my experience with my word, even if the prompts are similar. Definition, invitation, what am I letting go of? What am I hoping for the year ahead? That sort of, again, the invitation to document this. I mean, the process of documentation for me through the monthly prompts is a huge part of how I experience life with my word, and it's one of the ways that it keeps it front and center for me. And I think for me, having the responsibility to the community of doing these is a discipline that I am really thankful for, because it has really helped me in some really challenging times in my life. And by giving me this opportunity to have a place to put this stuff, to have a place to talk about my experience with my word, to have a place to talk about the things that are hard and the things that are easy, and to have it be in a really caring community environment that is paired with stuff that I love already, right? Photography and writing and intentional products to go along with it as well. So in this one, it was, what does whole mean to me right now? So using smaller sized cards there, again, through the lens of photography. This month I decided to be really quiet with it. I didn't add additional words. It's just the pictures this time. And I switched that up from time to time as well. Again, here's then June, where is our progress month, and we're always kind of monitoring how are things going halfway through the year, what's working, what's not working, what do I still want to accomplish throughout the course of the year or experience, because we don't really look through everything. We're not looking at this as like you're either a success or you're a failure, right? It's all about being in progress, and it's all about the journey way more than it is the destination too, of what is this experience of living with a word for the year? What does it look like to you? What are your ups and your downs, and what's the message that you need to hear this month as well? So here are a few more of those. Then we did one about this chapter. What does this chapter of life look like? What are you struggling with? What are you celebrating? What is the season about? Things like that. And then coming into the idea, this was the first time that I did this prompt, which was about rest and pace and paying attention, and what, how much are you resting, and how much are you, where are you finding joy, and what is the pace of your life like, and how is that related to your word, and how can you make that related to your word in the ways that you want to be living your life. The music lyrics theme there, finding some words that were coming through songs. Knowing and loving, what do you know, what do you love, what have you learned, what do you believe related to your word. Again, it's just the invitation to document, right? It's the invitation to write some things down related to your word and your experience with your word. So then facts and feelings, and what do you want to remember? So that was 2016, and then I'll give you a look here at my 2017 album. So 2017, my word was connect. And so this is a look at what I documented this year in the album itself. Again, always starting out usually with a picture of myself, some sort of self-portrait, because what this is, again, is the work of becoming yourself. That's part of what having a word is. That's part of the invitation to the experience. And we talk so much about progress over perfection, and how again, it's the journey. I mean, so much of that continues from year to year, and sometimes I just put random things in there that I'm wanting to remember for myself. So this last year we had these half-page dividers, and so this year we had full-page ones available, and a few other new products as well. Talking about practice, what can you practice, and then being in progress. And the products then are all geared towards the same kinds of messages. Then this was the first year, or maybe the second year, I think, that I did some of the collages that I wanted to do actually in the album itself. So changing the size, mixing it up for myself a little bit. I liked doing it in the album, but I also missed having the larger size as well. And then in April, what is it, asking myself questions, right? Getting curious about my word, learning more about my word, and what would it mean if I was really connecting or if I was really disconnecting, which was part of my experience with my word this year. Again, seeing your word through the lens of photography, figuring out in June where you're at for the mid-month progress there, the mid-year progress, collage opportunity. And like I said, I'm not reading you what I wrote in all of these. When you're in the workshop, though, I do read my journaling and talk way more about what the actual experience is. And in this video, I just mainly wanted you to get an idea of what do we actually do in this class. I think a lot of people ask questions about that, and I've never in all of these years filmed these walkthroughs so you could actually see what these albums look like. So hopefully this will answer some questions for people, getting more of an idea of what are some of the things that we do in here. And also, there's a lot of people that participate in this project that don't do this piece of it. They may respond to the prompts in a journal. They may do it just in a completely different way, and that's totally welcome and okay as well. This, for me, this is just a part of who I am, this kind of documentation, which is why I do it in this way as well. So, and then wrapping it up with facts and feelings, and what do I want to remember, and then action and reflection cards for each month in the back, some that I missed, some that I had there as well. So I hope this is a helpful video for you guys, and absolutely invited to join me on this journey of making your word visible in the One Little Word workshop. Hope to see you there.